if you could make love to any fictional character, animal or human, who would it be?
Oh, this is easy. Nala from The Lion King. I was super attracted to her because she was like, she was very supportive of Simba and understanding of his mental issues. And
now help me out. Is this an animal or is it a person?
It's a lion.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a female lion.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, she's still a lion, not a human version.
I would be a lion too. Right, I'd be the male lion.
Okay, you'd be a lion.
Oh, okay. That helps.
But what I liked about it was that she believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself.
This is really an emotional connection you have with Nala.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not just into the person's body. I'm also there's an emotional, mental.
It's about emotional connection.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, mine is only about body because it's definitely Gaston. I was gonna say Beast, which is great because he's like the nicer one, right? He's got the good personality. But I was like, is that authentic to me and my pattern? And no, my pattern is Gaston. I always date Gaston. It's why I have trauma, you guys.
Right, right. I would say try something different, but you did that with your restaurant choice today and it didn't work out. Yes.
Nope.
Oh wow. I kind of want to say Xena, the Princess Warrior, but I don't know if that's, I mean, she's fictional, but you could just say the actress, what's her name, Lucy Lawless. So I'm going to go Jennifer Rabbit. Is that it? Jessica Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit. That's it. Yeah.
Jennifer Rabbit is from The Block.
Right. No. Jessica.
Her big-butted.
Jessica Rabbit. What you think about Jessica Rabbit, I feel is like, that'd be great. I would not be a cartoon. Just want to clarify that.
Okay.
But you could also hook up with the, what's her name, Christina from Mad Men. I think that's sort of like, you could kind of squint and feel like it's Jessica Rabbit if you.
Okay, for a second I thought we meant like children's characters specifically.
No,
okay. It could be adult characters from fiction.
Adult
that changes everything.
Well, I noticed as any fictional character, it meant animated though, right? I feel like everyone picked animated characters.
That's what I thought.
That's how I took. That's for some reason what I took it to mean.
Fictional. Okay, real life people characters.
No,
that could be anybody.
We should animate. It should be animated.
Animated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, Jessica
Let's stick to animated.
I'm just impressed with how confidently you all asked this. When I read the script, I feel like everyone knows immediately who it'd be, but there's no way to like say it without feeling like a creep.
Right.
I feel like I'd probably go with like Lola Bunny from the Space Jam, the female bunny from Space Jam.
Were you angry when they made her like less sexualized in the new version?
Did they? I don't even know that.
Okay,
they rebooted it.
Yeah, they rebooted it.
LeBron
The old original super sexy Lola Bunny.
Why? Because she was good at basketball, or
no? Because there's no emotional connection.
It's strictly physical.
I was trying to help you.
But no, the thing is, I just feel like it's a question I think everybody has thought about, but I feel like it's always a creepy question to answer in any way.
I didn't think it creepy at all.
No?
In fact, my number 2 is Pam from Archer.
You've got a whole list.
Before she lost the weight. Yes.
Where do I start? You've got a whole document of cartoon characters you can wait to sleep with.
Look, okay, when it comes to emotional attraction, the dad from Finding Nemo. Nice.
Very nice.
Now, is he a fish? Do you put eggs, then he comes and just...
In that one, we are both fish, yes.
The eggs afterwards?
Purely an emotional thing.
Very nice.
All right, welcome. This is season 4, episode 10 of the award-winning unofficial official story. I am Koji.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Dwayne.
This is where we tell you the official story. We look at the paranormal, conspiracies, unexplained phenomena, cryptids, and true crime. And by the end, we'll tell you what really maybe happened.
Please consider writing a review of our show on the platform you're using to listen to this podcast. We know it's a pain in the butt, but it goes a long way in helping the show. It helps us reach new listeners, grow our show, and most importantly, it enables us to keep putting out the content that we hope you enjoy.
For those of you who don't know, this month is the birthday of creator of Winnie the Pooh, A.A. Milne. So today, we will be asking if Milne created Winnie the Pooh as an allegory for mental illness.
Is that how you say the name? I don't know.
I looked it up, and that's how the one video I saw on YouTube, the guy said it.
That's what I was doing. I researched. I watched one video, and I'm like, this 300 subscribers, 20 views must be correct.
And he had an English accent, so I was like, yeah, this guy knows.
But before we begin, let's introduce our guests for the second time this season. Adam Yanzer, how are you?
I've been great. I've been doing good.
You survived the fires.
I survived the fires. My neighborhood was safe, thankfully. I did get 2 of those false evacuation
Yes.
warnings,
Mhm.
and then they corrected them.
Yeah.
I missed a stand-up gig because of one of them. I was on my way to Palm Springs, and I kind of thought my neighborhood was safe. The closest one, I'm in North Hollywood, so the closest one was Runyon, but it was like on the other side of the hills.
Right.
And I was on my way to Palm Springs for a gig, and I got that like evacuation warning. I'm like, I got to go back and grab some stuff. So I turned around, canceled the gig, drove a half hour back, and as soon as I got home, it was like, oh, it was a fake, false warning.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've been okay though, but it's crazy. I know in all the fires in all the years I've lived out here, 16 years, I've never known a single person who's actually lost a house. I know 7 people. So far this
7
time.
people.
Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I tell people the same thing. Like, usually you watch the news, flood, fire, mudslide,
Mhm.
whatever, and you kind of like, where is that? I'm not sure what that is. I kind of know where that is.
Yeah.
You're looking at the news. You're like, no, that's I've driven past that 20
Yeah.
times. It's
Yeah,
definitely
all those restaurants on the PCH in Malibu.
Mhm.
And you also watch where it's like, it's in Malibu, they'll contain it. And then it's like, oh, now it's made it here. Now it's made it here.
Yeah.
Now Encino is evacuated. You're like,
Oh
all
yeah,
right.
it was terrifying when I saw it like going up the hill towards the valley, that edge, because the valley is so residential. You feel like it's just gonna whip across the whole thing if it gets there.
Yeah.
So I was seeing it inch up the hill and like closer and closer to where I am, which is kind of near North Hollywood, right on
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the other side of those hills. And I was like, wow, it went from the beach to there. I really did not think it would go that far.
Yeah.
And yet it did. Also, I was at Temescal Canyon hiking like right before the fires broke out. I'm so sad it's gone now.
Yeah, I mean, I took my boys for my baseball team, and we actually hiked in Chancery Flats, which is in St. Gabriel's, and that just opened after the last fire. Like, it took like 3 or 4 years to open,
Mhm.
and they just opened the ranger station and redid the roads, and then now it's all gone again. And I'm like, oh my god, we were just there,
Yeah.
and now it's all gone again. It's crazy.
yeah.
It's weird how it's burning hiking places. Like Pacific Palisades, I used to do Paseo Miramar, and then I'm like, oh, well, that's burning now. And then the next one was Eaton Canyon, and I used to hike at Eaton Canyon,
Yeah.
and it was like, now Runyon's on fire. I'm like, what's going on?
Maybe it's
They're
you.
starting in all the places I used to hike.
Right.
What a coincidence!
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there's
As I put a blowtorch under it. No, I don't even know if that's funny at this point.
Well, that's the thing with the 24-hour news cycle. It's like you think, well, we're going to find out what happened. That makes it less likely to find out what happened
Mhm.
because
It's just going to get buried.
everyone's just going to scream different things.
Well, they did
Yeah,
catch that
yeah,
one guy, right, who was
For
trying
the
to
Kenneth fire.
Yeah,
Yeah. But then they
Kenneth
let him go.
yeah.
which is
Yeah, because they said he had a blowtorch, but he didn't actually start a fire, so they couldn't like charge him with arson or
Yeah.
something because he
Mm.
wasn't like caught actually doing it.
Whenever
Huh.
whenever those kind of things happen, it's like, okay, do something to someone famous and show up with a blowtorch, like, and don't do it. They'll find a way to charge you with something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand if he didn't do it yet, but that makes me think of that movie where they charge you for crimes you're
Minority
gonna
Report?
do. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
before you did it.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's just a whole sad thing.
It
But-
is. It's our 9/11. LA's 9/11
It
is
is.
what a lot of people are saying.
Just not as many people died though.
That's true. Only 25. Maybe if we had just as many people die, people would be like a bit more sympathetic. And
Yes.
instead, because it's just houses, they're like, you suck.
I've witnessed mostly sympathy from it, like on social media
Yeah.
and stuff.
Mhm.
Every now and then, there's people that are like, "Oh, f the rich, the privileged
Or the
people," and
California.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
saw a
'cause-
little of that.
yeah. But I've seen way more empathy and support.
Yeah,
than
but
I have.
but even like
That's good.
But even like
Yeah.
the Republicans were like saying they're not going to give us aid unless we change some law, or it's probably about trans women or something. But in sports, but like before we got here,
I want us to get aid and them to change the law about trans women in sports. I think we have both ways.
well, no, they were saying
We
like,
can
All 7 of those trans women in sports really need.
Yeah.
but what was interesting to me was that after 9/11,
Mhm.
we were all New Yorkers.
Yes,
It was a thing, right? But
yeah.
I don't get that same feeling. I mean, a lot of like, granted, I read like YouTube comments and Twitter comments and
Yeah.
whatever that. And so a lot of what I'm reading is like, fuck California, they deserve it.
Really?
They're this, they're that. So to me, it's sad because we're all Americans. You know,
Yeah.
we're all in the same country.
I
agree
honestly
with that.
haven't seen that much
Oh, really?
like negative commentary. I've seen mostly support, but yeah.
Yeah, let's get started,
All right,
you
let's
guys.
jump into this topic. For those of you who don't know who Winnie the Pooh is, here's a quick summary. Winnie the Pooh is a character created in 1921 by A.A. How do you say his name?
I think it's Milne.
Milne. Okay. And E.H. Shepard. The character is an anthropomorphic teddy bear who is usually seen with his friends Tigger, Piglet, Rabbit, Owl, Kanga, or is it Conga?
Kanga.
Kanga, okay. And Roo. Tigger, Eeyore, Piglet, Kanga, and Roo are based on the toys of Milne's son, Christopher Robin, whereas Owl and Rabbit were created from the author's imagination. That's a lot of information.
One thing a lot of people don't know about A.A. Milne is that there are a lot of IKEA furniture pieces named after him. Okay, I'm pretty sure my bed is a Milne. All right.
Your bed's a Milne?
A Milne. Conga actually also might be a dresser line from IKEA.
The funniest thing about MILFs in porn is that like you're either like a teen or a MILF. There's like no...
There's no like age-appropriate woman opens the door and see what happens.
I think in between they just have a name.
No.
They're like, this is Andrea.
Literally all the MILFs are 25 years old.
What?
Because they're like...
Oh, they can be moms.
Yeah, well, they're moms, but they're like 25.
I guess it's because like the most popular states for porn are like Arkansas, and that's where women are MILFs at 25.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
We didn't verify that, but we just, yes.
This is based off something I saw on BuzzFeed like 6 years ago. Might be out of date. Anyways, to help us prepare for this episode, we read 2 articles.
Damn, that's a lot of articles.
That's a lot of research.
That's a lot of more. That's more than one article.
That's all the articles I read per year. Okay, the rest are BuzzFeed lists. Anywho, to help us prepare for this episode, we read 2 articles. The first was from the National Library of Medicine titled Pathology in the 100-Acre Wood, a Pathology in the 100-Acre Wood, a neurodevelopmental perspective on A.A. Milne. And the second one is from Time, and it's called The True Story Behind Winnie the Pooh and Goodbye, Christopher Robin. Both articles provide insight into mental disorders that many Winnie the Pooh characters have, along with the possible connections to Milne. We think you all should read these articles. We put a link to them in the show notes.
Some of the main reasons that people believe Milne created these characters was due to his son creating voices for his toys, whereas others believe he created them due to his visit to the London Zoo, in which he saw a bear named Winnie.
Starting with the Time article, which says, although there is no direct evidence that Milne suffered from what we commonly know now as PTSD, his experiences during the war weighed heavily on him. In his autobiography, It's Too Late Now, Milne wrote that it made him almost physically sick to think of the nightmare of mental and moral degradation, the war.
That checks out. It's too late now. Sounds very much like something a depressed person would say. So,
by the way, do you know that's why there's so many serial killers from the 70s and 80s?
Oh, because of the war?
Yeah, because of the war. These people came back with PTSD.
From
it was World War II.
World War II.
They were undiagnosed, and then they raised kids in households where the people were undiagnosed with PTSD, and there's not a coincidence that like a spike of serial killers were 70s, 80s. I mean,
so their parents gave them a lot of like trauma, and there was like probably a lot of abuse in the home.
So more boomers are going to be serial killers because of the sort of mental illness.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's basically what it was. Yeah. Think about the time period. If we had like 8, 9, 10 serial killers, there were up to 100 in the 1970s at one time, roaming around America killing people.
I think in just Los Angeles there was something like 40 in the late 70s.
But I feel like you guys should do a whole other episode about this. Just did World War II cause the spike in serial killers in the 70s?
But I mean, could you imagine? I mean, just Son of Sam, Ted Bundy, the
Richard Ramirez.
Well, no, he's 80s though. But like all of them were like the Hillside Strangler, the Zodiac. Those were all the same time.
So were they born late? They were
born
early 50s.
They were
40s?
boomers. Yeah, they were boomers. Yeah. And they came from a trauma household. I mean, it's not even a conspiracy. It's people believe this is fact.
Yeah, Charles Manson also had a lot of trauma.
Netflix capitalizes on all these stories, so you could take it even further and say, did World War II cause the rise of dominance of Netflix in the entertainment
industry? which inherently destroyed the movie industry.
Did World War II put Blockbuster out of business? Right. I love it. Before Blockbuster was ever invented.
I love it. Netflix is the great disruptor who disrupted everything just to now have commercials again. I'm not saying they have it yet, but it's coming.
Anyways, so here we see Milne writing about his experiences during his time serving in World
Can
War
we call
I.
him Milne?
Milne?
I like
I
Milne.
like Milne more.
The
It
good thing
sounds
is,
cuter.
however if we mispronounce it, people on YouTube don't
Yes,
really care if
yes.
you said something wrong.
That's
They're
true.
not going to write thousands of comments.
Right,
going,
right.
"Oh, you did this right."
Well, and if they did, our algorithm goes higher anyway.
Right. We could say I like Monet, but
We'll each pick a different way to say it.
yeah. So let's do that. So you want to go with Milne?
I'll go with Milne.
Which one did you want to go Milne too?
No, I'll go Milne.
Okay, and I'll go Monet. No, one of us should say it right. I'll go Milne. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go mild. I'll stick a long eye in there. There's an E at the end. That's how grammar works. Right?
You know, it's
Right.
crazy. I really did look this up, and you talk about the algorithm because I looked this up.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't look up like how to pronounce his name. I just looked up a little video on him. But then to the side, how to speak with an English accent came up, and like it was just the word. It's just a T. So it's like English is like you pronounce the T. In American English, the T becomes a fast D, and in London English, the T you don't even say; you just kind of swallow it. So I'm not great with accents, but like she said a better bag of biscuits or something like that. And so English is like a better bag of biscuits, or whatever it was. And in English, a better bag of biscuits in American English, and in London is a bag of biscuits, So it was a lot of fun. So anyway,
That was a lot.
it was. I just looked at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Times. Maybe we should all watch it and then come back and do another episode and just all of us the London accent. It'll be like My Fair Lady. Anyways, so here we see Milne writing about his experiences during his time serving in World War I. Not only this, but the article states he referred to a trip in the insect house at the zoo with Christopher Robin, where the sight of the monstrous inmates triggered a sense of discomfort. I could imagine a spider or millipede being so horrible that in its presence I should die of disgust. He wrote, "It seems impossible to me now that any sensitive man could live through another war. If not required to die in other ways, he would waste away of soul sickness."
What's interesting about that is like it sounds like he saw a spider or something, and he imagined it way bigger or something. And certain patterns really gross me out. Like I can't even look at them. You know what I mean? And I don't tell people because I don't want them to be able to control me by showing me those patterns.
Wait, when you say patterns, what do you mean?
Certain, like mainly, it's how
Like ba
things-
ba ba B?
No, like how things look under a microscope. I just can't. I can't. Like not everything, but certain sort of patterns.
So could I control you by like having a picture and just like showing and being like, ah!
Well, it would just gross me out, and
Yeah.
I would have to turn away. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I don't know
So-
if it's a pattern, but there's a specific fear where it's like things that have like holes.
Holes.
Like
Oh,
little
yeah, I have
a
holes
friend
in
who
them.
has that.
I forget.
Mhm.
what-
Oh,
there's
God.
a complicated
Oh, God.
name for it.
He can't
like
deal with-
lotus pods.
Someone-
have like all
Yeah.
these little holes in them.
I like eating. I joke
vagina?
about it. No, well, I mean,
Sorry.
begrudgingly, but yeah, no, not begrudgingly. I'm happy to. I'm
That has
happy
a
to do
giant.
it.
That's the holes. Then
I'm
there
happy
too,
to do
right?
it. No, but like
Poor
rice,
Jessica Rabbit.
like a rice cake, like it's a health thing.
Like a mochi.
rice cake with hummus, and I put olives on top, right? But just random pattern. And a friend of mine made me that, but the olives were in a certain pattern, and I was like,
Huh.
you gotta rearrange it,
Yeah.
take the olives off. I know it sounds
Huh.
crazy, but
My thing is like I have a weird phobia of putting my penis in things. Like
you
like,
don't want to do it.
yeah, I always think like
Yeah, I think
there's like a giant hole in the wall. I'm like, if I put my
That's
penis in
just-
there, it'd be bad.
I think
that a
that's just
phobia?
common
Or that's
sense.
Here's the thing, though. How are you ever going to find out what's on the other side? That's how I investigate life.
Actually, I told one of the rules I told my son was that you never put your finger in something that you wouldn't put your penis in.
Good point. Good point. I'm just picturing like
Okay.
a rainbow.
My mind's
That's
going
not
so
terrible
many different
advice.
places.
You know, like the more you know, those commercials, just a rainbow, a star going across the screen.
Yeah.
Put your dick in it. Just
Oh god.
I think his fear is interesting because I, as a kid, liked the like insect house. So I thought it was interesting to see all the bugs. Although spiders always freak me out. I've always had a fear of spiders.
yeah.
Keep in mind that Milne's autobiography was written in 1939, 18 years after he created Winnie the Pooh.
Let's look at the other article now. Looking at this one, we can see that each character has something listed about them. Starting off with Winnie the Pooh, we have Pooh's preservation on food and his repetitive counting behaviors, raising the diagnostic possibility of obsessive-compulsive disorder. This one makes a lot of sense. Every time I see Winnie the Pooh, he seems to be obsessed with eating honey.
I mean, that's one of his key characteristics is
Yeah. No, it's weird because usually the script is like, here's information, and then my opinion is my opinion. And I'm like, wait a second. He's telling me my opinion.
No, but
less work for you, Durgan.
I guess. No, but he does have this fixation on food, and his repetitive counting behaviors raise the possibility of him being OCD, which I guess that checks out because he has the obsession with honey. Also, maybe that's autism. They have obsessions with things, I think, from what I know. Maybe not honey, but trains.
Did he get vaccinated? I'm just kidding.
But yeah, like his love of honey. But you know what? I have foods that I love to eat, like chocolate. So that doesn't make me OCD or autistic, does it?
But he was kind of obsessive.
Yeah, but
really,
do you like, did you sell your VCR to get honey?
Around on a balloon trying to get honey. Right. like how a crackhead pursues crack, he pursued honey.
Wow, that's going a little far.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't run around, with pants off trying to get chocolate. I always have my pants on when I get chocolate. So
there's a lot there.
I'm not gonna. Let's just keep reading. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. This article also talks about Piglet, stating, "Poor, anxious, blushing, flustered little Piglet. He clearly suffers from a generalized anxiety disorder. Had he been appropriately assessed and his condition diagnosed when he was young, he might have been placed on an anti-panic agent such as paroxetine, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, and been saved from the emotional trauma he experienced while attempting to trap heffalumps," which that's the thing he traps, I guess.
I don't know what that is. Do you know?
It's just,
Isn't that what Fergie has from the Black Eyed Peas? I don't know.
Oh, lovely lady lumps. Well, maybe, yeah.
Like a vagina.
What? No.
What?
Oh, God.
Sorry.
You need to spend some quality time with your wife. I think it's been a while.
Well, you said what a lady has. And what a lady has is different than a boy is a vagina.
She's talking about her lovely lady lumps. Yeah.
Boobs. Or a butt.
Boys have boobs.
Oh, okay. All
Weren't
right.
the heffalumps like floating like elephant kind of creatures or something? They were in some. I remember there was some ride, I feel like, at one point where they had the song about heffalumps in it.
That's
It's
the
a
one thing I
Heffalump song?
failed to look up. But yeah, this sounds right.
It was like heffalumps and woozles or something. There was two different like creatures. I thought they were part of it.
Yeah, a heffalump is sort of like a pink elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the room.
Got it. Okay. For Owl, the article states our neurodevelopmental group agrees that about poor Owl. Obviously bright, but dyslexic. His poignant attempts to cover up for his phonological deficits are similar to what we see day in, day out in others so afflicted. If only his condition had been identified early and he received more intensive support. Wow. Okay.
For Kanga and Rue, the article states Kanga is known to be somewhat overprotective. Could her possessiveness of Rue relate to a previous run-in with social services? What? I don't like this article. I'm not into it. We worry about the environment in which he's developing. Rue is growing up in a single-parent household, which puts him at high risk for poorer outcome. I disagree, but I think if I had to diagnose him, it might be something like codependency.
Codependency, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. For Rabbit, the article states, "We note his tendency to be extraordinarily self-important and his odd belief system that he has a great many relations, many of other species, and friends. He seems to have an overriding need to organize others, often against their will, into new groupings, with himself always at the top of the reporting structure."
So
narcissist?
Narcissist or just HR.
What's HR?
Like he should have worked in HR.
Oh, he should have worked in HR. Okay.
But also, I think
sorry, I'm slow. Right
he's a rabbit, and rabbits hook up a lot. So that confidence may just be coming from the fact that
he just is a rabbit. Yeah.
Is this why you wanted Jennifer Rabbit or Jenny Rabbit or whatever?
I didn't think about it till just now, but yeah, full circle.
Yeah,
look at that. Yes,
Jessica Rabbit. There you go. Sorry,
right, Jessica Rabbit.
Not Jennifer Rabbit.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the movie because it was like it's not a kid movie. So let's continue.
Oh, good. We didn't talk about having sex with cartoon characters enough yet.
Yeah, I mean, if I were gay, I would have hooked up with Roger the Rabbit, because he was very excited or something. I don't know. Let's go.
You know what I really like is Anger from Inside Out.
A lot to unpack.
Okay. Last but not least, the article talks about Tigger. Our clinical group has its own debate about what the best medication for Tigger might be. Some of us have argued that his behaviors occur in a context of obvious hyperactivity and impulsivity, which would suggest a need for stimulant medication and, I guess, an ADHD diagnosis. Yeah. The one about Tigger makes a lot of sense, considering the fact that he's usually bouncing around and hyperactive.
Now that we have all that information, it's time to ponder the question: is Winnie the Pooh an allegory for mental illness? When we return, we'll settle this once and for all and find out what maybe really happened or something like that. Let's go. I never do these transitions, so it's all different for me. And now that we've reviewed the evidence, let's give our theories. Why did A.A. Milne create Winnie the Pooh?
Okay, so before we go into that, I just want to say that I don't think this is what an allegory is. I'm pretty sure an allegory is like a story that has a lesson and it's like symbolic. I kind of feel like this is more just like a metaphor. What would we call it?
They're representations of the mental health issue or mental disorder.
So I would be hesitant to call it an allegory.
Well, if he did it on purpose, but what if he didn't do it on purpose? Then it's like...
Well, it's possible he did it like...
The question is kind of just, did he intend them to each represent a different mental illness?
So this is basically like Inside Out, but the prequel.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I have a theory. I think that Milne knew a bunch of people in his neighborhood. They all had really like quirky personalities, and he happened to choose each a different one to represent these characters for his storybook. It just so happened that they each had a different mental illness. So it was accidental. He just happened to know a lot of mentally ill people.
From the war, because of the war.
From the war, yeah, sure. Or also because nobody had medication yet. So everybody was really mentally ill back then.
Okay, so Milne was the first furry.
Like people who dress up in
animal
costumes.
Yeah. So all the people that he talks about are just people from the community that wore costumes as well. So like rabbit was rabbit, a piglet was piglet, and so on. And all
so like Eeyore was the donkey friend who also was depressed. They were a depressed person, but they were a donkey. You really need to spend some quality time with your wife. Everything goes back to that with you tonight, Koji.
Let me ask you, well, which one was self-representative of him, of Milne?
I think he was like, I've never been to a fur party. But there's probably people who are...
No one accused you of that.
You're the one who keeps bringing it up, Koji.
I wasn't really there. I was just observing. No, but the way through the window. The way I imagine these things is that there's people also there who are into people who are furries. Mm-hmm. And so he was one of the guys that had he wanted to have sex with people who were dressed up as furries. But he wasn't actually a furry himself.
I bet there's a word for that. Like how there's a word for like different roles in like the gay community and different stuff. I bet you in the furry world there's a role for someone who wants to be a human, but
maybe they call them straight. Like they mean straight, but straight like a human who doesn't dress up as an animal.
I bet there's a term for that.
Probably.
It's kind of like bestiality, but not really.
The Milne.
You know what? There's a way we could ask. We could just ask like ChatGPT or something. What do you call? Should we look
go
this
ahead.
up?
We could ask that.
Sure.
What do you call someone who likes to have sex with furries? But
not dress up as a furry though.
Oh, I have something here. It's actually really close to his name. But let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. Google has given me something.
Okay. Let's see. This is actually not ChatGPT, it's Claude AI.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So you know Claude is better.
Respect Claude.
I had to give credit where credit's due. A person attracted to furries or fursonas while not participating in fursuiting themselves might be considered an admirer of the furry fandom or a furry ally. The furry community uses various terms for different levels of interest and participation, but I'd encourage focusing on mutual respect and consent in any relationship dynamic rather than specific labels.
Is participation called fornicating?
What's crazy is that you just asked what it is, and she's like, respect everyone.
That's what I like about Claude. It adds on a little bit extra every time.
The AI overview on Google says a non-furry furry lover is typically referred to as a non-furry or mundane.
A mundane.
I like that.
Okay, like BDSM people call
mundane Milne.
like vanilla, right? Like,
Yeah, vanilla,
vanilla
yes.
people.
That's what they call them?
Yeah, someone who's not into BDSM is vanilla
Oh, really?
or kink at all.
They should call them hairballs because that's probably what they get.
People who are not into.
And this is what's wrong with America.
Right. Too much free time, too much everything.
This is why California burned.
Exactly. So I guess my theory is it's a twofold thing. One part of it is not like that crazy, and I think the other part is a little off the path. So I think that it's not an allegory per se, like he meant to do this, but I think he suffered a lot of trauma, and I think he wasn't a great like dad from the sense of like he didn't know how to love his son, and I think it's like someone who has like dementia, but there's just certain things that like trigger them and then they can be kind of lucid for a little while and then they go back. So I think he was the most lucid he was when he was writing. He had a great talent for writing. So he might have been like borderline lunatic, but when he was writing, it was like it came out really like something that people liked. It came out good. So there was only a hint of his craziness. So I think that's one side of it, so he was prolific because that was his happy place. And he could kind of like at least honor his son because when they were just sort of like one-on-one, he was just kind of awkward, right? So his way to tap into his sanity and at least have something that he feels he could like leave his son that's good and better than their day-to-day interaction. But I think also he was such an anti-war person and a pacifist that the military-industrial complex, once they got wind of how his talent as a writer, they just pushed the shit out of this Pooh situation. That sounds horrific, but yeah. They pushed Pooh. So no, they pushed it because they wanted him to be famous for this and mute his anti-war stuff. So that it was like twofold. He really wanted to really like be sort of a activist in terms of like making sure we never had war again, but
like a Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, like, World War II happened relatively close to World War I, but he was always muted. And so he became known as the Winnie the Pooh guy, not the like anti-war guy.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did he have sex with the furries? Oh, sorry.
Right. at a peace rally.
At a peace rally.
But it's peace spelled Piece, a piece of fur. Yeah.
Got it. That brings us perfectly to my theory because I think Milne was a man after my own nature.
It took me a while to figure out what you're asking.
Milne was a man after my own nature.
Yes.
In that he was very uncomfortable discussing in public which animated character he'd like to have sex with. It just weirded him out. But he'd always go to these cocktail parties and neighbors' houses, and when he's hanging out with his son and his friends, people would keep asking, if you had to have sex with an animated character, who would it be? And he hated it. It just got to him. And he said, you know what? I am going to make a cartoon where every single animated character is physically unattractive and has a huge red flag. So it's like one of them is going to be fat and have obsessive compulsive disorder. The other one's going to be a single mom and be overprotective. The other one is going to be neurotic and run around all the time and have an anxiety disorder. That way, no one can ever, no matter how old they get, they can never sexualize these characters because they have no physical attraction to them and they can't develop an emotional attraction like you. So he set out to make the most unsexy cartoon characters of all time.
Now tell me about the single mom.
So he really wanted to stop the war on cartoons.
Yeah, he was like,
the war on
this.
Well,
none of these characters will ever be sexual.
Jokes on you because I love fat neurotic men who love honey and don't wear pants.
Somewhere Milne's rolling over in his grave. I assume he's dead by now, right? He's an older man.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know if you should say that. I feel like our
I'm gonna get a lot of DMs.
Like, what?
No.
Teasing listenership. Like, I don't think that describes you at all.
All right, so at this point of the show, it's time for us to pick the unofficial story, one that will answer the question once and for all. So which theory do we want to go with? But before we do, let's review who's come up with the most theories this season. As of this episode, I'm super proud of this. I have 3 wins.
Nice.
Our guests as a whole have 3 wins. Kat, you have 2, so you're behind me.
Okay.
And super, super far away from all of us is Dwayne with only 1.
Wow, Dwayne.
Rigged.
Wow.
Come on, Dwayne. you guys have to catch me. And I'm pretty sure this week I have it. So who do we want to, who wants to go first? Who wants to vote?
I vote for myself because I'm
That's one way
competitive
to
and I
get those
want
numbers
to win.
up.
You're allowed to open it up by voting for yourself.
Yeah.
Nice.
Why?
I think mine makes the most sense. I also forgot what mine was.
Yours was about having sex with
No.
furries.
No. Yours was he knew crazy people in his
Mine, yeah,
neighborhood.
they were his neighbors, and they were all uniquely
Right.
crazy, and that they're each about one of
Which is kind of like Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby, what he did aside, he made Fat Albert because it was like people from his neighborhood.
them.
Every character was someone from his neighborhood.
That's
So-
right.
So you're saying A.A. Milne is like the Bill Cosby of his time?
It's almost like this is his Fat Albert, I guess is what
Okay.
you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, Dwayne, who are you voting for?
It's tough. Like I really do like mine a lot. But I'm going to vote for Adams because I think that's amazing. Yeah, I think he didn't want us to sexualize animated characters. But I think it's more like he was trying to, what's the word I'm saying? Like not make them unattractive, but make them innocent. But I think there's still something there, though.
There, you know what?
I bet if we
That's-
went on Pornhub, there would be like a Winnie the Pooh porn.
I always thought Piglet was hot.
See, I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like that when I go too far
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Well, that's too far. That's the moment we went over the line. Before that, we were fine. But okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, I vote for Adams too because I think
Yes.
that his is by far the best. I mean, like the when he started talking, I was like, I think the kangaroo's kind of hot, actually.
Right.
By
But-
trying to desexualize them, I've made half of you attracted to them.
Right. It sounds like Koji, that's what you needed to hear more than anything else.
To accept myself.
Or just it was like a version of him pouring cold water on you,
Yeah.
because you were getting,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Okay.
Piglet really is like the opposite of Gaston. Isn't that crazy? It's like gentle and tiny versus like a angry, mean.
But his
But
penis
handsome
was, but his
tall.
penis was
Both
really big,
extremes,
though.
yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh God, Koji.
Okay, Adam, who are you voting for?
So here's the thing. I thought it would be the virtuous thing to do to vote for someone else's, and I was going to vote for Dwayne's. But now that I know you can vote for yourself, I'm voting for mine.
You win either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have actually been virtuous and still won.
No.
Like you could have,
The
right.
virtue is dead at this point in the podcast.
Look, we already talked about sleeping with our favorite cartoon characters. There's no virtue left in this room.
No, but I did like Dwayne's a lot. But yeah, I'm going to vote for myself.
No, it's
Okay,
solid.
I think
It's
that
solid.
makes you the winner, right? Wait,
Yeah.
did Koji vote yet?
I voted
yeah,
for
yeah.
his.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes you the winner, Adam.
Do you want to change your vote to make it unanimous?
No.
Oh, yeah. I
She's
was
attracted
just,
to way too many of these characters.
Right.
I was doing some research
Uh-huh.
and I went on Pornhub and there is no Winnie the Pooh porn.
There's none on there? Wow.
It says no results found.
Oh, you got to go to the website. No, I'm kidding.
That seems outrageous.
It's not Pornhub.
You took a big risk because typing poo into a porn site that could take you to a whole different direction that you don't want to go. I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
No.
Wow.
Good.
Okay. And that's our official story. We'll take another break. And when we return, we'll be trying to figure out which Winnie the Pooh character is our favorite.
All right. Now that we've had our discussion, which Winnie the Pooh character is most like you and why?
So for me, I'm either Tigger or I'm Eeyore.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'm really hyper and I'm all over the place. And then other times I'm extremely depressed. So I can't choose between the two. That's me.
It was interesting. I was going to say the rabbit because he regulates, but I think I'm actually Winnie the Pooh.
I was going to say you're Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, because when I watch Seinfeld, I always feel like I'm Seinfeld, right? Just because.
So you think
Like-
the world revolves around you?
No,
You've got really strong main character
No,
energy.
no.
Is that?
Well, no, but I think Seinfeld's thing is not that he's the main character. It's just that he's the glue. Like everyone else has a stronger personality,
Okay.
and he has weird friends, his immediate friends, but even if you throw in Banya and all these other people. So I think as a comic, I mean, I think a lot of comics are Seinfeld because we have other weird comic friends and other friends. You know, the lifestyle just lends itself to having all
Weird
types of characters in your life.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm definitely Eeyore. I think the thanks for noticing me is basically my philosophy. So Because as being a writer, no one cares about the writer.
Right.
Okay.
Like we're like even on sets, you're like, thanks. They don't even invite you on set anymore.
Right.
You don't care. That's why I had to become a producer, because they cared so little about the writer.
Right.
That,
But you kind of like that though, or
Yeah, I like it because then
to a point.
Yeah, because every time this movie's bad, I could just say the script was awesome.
Right. Execution, baby. It's all in the execution. Yes.
The writing was great. All right, Adam, what about you?
I was going to go with Winnie the Pooh also.
Why?
But I don't know why exactly. See, there's a part of me that wants to say owl, but I don't know a lot about his character. He was cerebral, but I don't know. Did it come across in like a know-it-all way? I forget what his character was on Winnie the Pooh. Because in this, it says he's dyslexic. I didn't even remember him being dyslexic.
Yeah, I didn't remember that either.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know enough about owl to say whether or not it's him. But I guess I'd go with Winnie the Pooh, but I don't feel like I watched enough Winnie the Pooh to even know. It's more my lack of knowledge about these characters.
Right.
It's like process of elimination. It's like I'm not Eeyore and I'm not Piglet. I don't think I'm Rabbit. Was Rabbit kind of panicky?
All over the place.
All over the
He
place.
just really wanted things to be like in line.
Uh-huh.
He's like,
Yeah.
we gotta get things in order.
Kind of middle child energy.
I see.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's also Christopher Robin.
Yeah. He was the kid that he'd come into the woods and then he'd talk to the characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the son.
I'll go with Winnie the Pooh, but then I don't mind losing this part since I won the first.
No, this one.
There's no win or lose on this one. Have you guys ever been on the Winnie the Pooh ride at Disneyland?
Yeah, that's where I remembered the Heffalumps and Woozles song from. Like everything I know about Winnie the Pooh
It's from
is
the
from
ride.
that ride.
Is it out here?
Yeah, it's at Disneyland.
I've been. I don't remember.
But you don't even like Disneyland though, so.
And it was kind of creepy,
I don't
that
hate it.
ride, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a little.
Oh, Winnie
it's
the
a
Pooh is
little
creepy
weird.
in general.
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought it was kind of creepy. I dated a girl who loved Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah, but the
That
writing
is
is
creepy.
She's like, it has all of my mental illness.
I read the first poem. I think it was called Vesper that he published, or it was like his wife published it
For him.
like without him knowing. It's really tight.
Wait, why did she publish without him knowing?
I think she just wanted to kickstart it. Maybe she needed to keep the lights on. Maybe they didn't have lights, but you know what I mean. She just wanted to get him out there. Maybe he was like never going to. Sometimes you need that push.
And don't you think it's weird that Christopher Robin was friends with all these or all these fake animals?
But I'm glad you mentioned that. I saw somewhere because the son has passed away too. But he said he liked it when he was a kid. Then he went to boarding school and he didn't because he was kind of famous, because of the stories. And in boarding school, he got teased a lot. So he stopped liking it. But he said a quote he said, when I was 3, my father was 3. And when I was 6, my father was 6. So that made me think his father was almost living vicariously through the son. Like the dad has some sort of arrested development, some sort of, maybe because of the war, some kind of developmental thing. And he kind of used the son as an excuse to tap into youth, because he probably was longing for a time before the war, like how strippers always have that baby voice.
What?
Not
If
always.
you would have said this is your theory, you would have won. It was the stripper baby voice thing.
What, is that the voice you use?
No.
When you strip.
But sometimes, not all strippers, but
No, but
sometimes.
trauma does cause someone to freeze. Like
They have a
Gypsy
baby
Rose,
voice.
I was just watching something on Lifetime from Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Her mom had the Munchausens by proxy, and then she killed her mom with her boyfriend, that girl. And she's like 30, but she
like a
still
little
sounds
girl
just
in her
like
mind.
this.
Right, you get stuck
'cause
at that.
all of the
Yeah.
trauma happened when she was young.
Exactly. So the author, he probably was a late teen or early 20s when he went into war, but I think that jammed him up. And then so here comes his son, and he's almost jealous living through him, because this kid has stuffed animals and he's never been to war. And so the father wants to tap back into that, because imagine what you see in war. World War I, it's got to be the most brutal war. It's it's not like now where war's a video game. It's horrendous.
I feel the same way about dating in LA.
Thank you, Adam, for coming on with us. Please tell us where people can follow you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is always a blast coming on here. My stand-up dates are at adamyanzer.com. The next one I have coming up, I'm going to be at JP's in Gilbert, Arizona, January 31st and February 1st. And I'm going to be at Harvey's in Lake Tahoe, March 27th to 30th. And then on my own YouTube channel, just Adam Yanzer on YouTube, I have a weekly satirical news show, kind of like weekend update style jokes called The Canceled News. So they can subscribe to that as well.
Nice.
Well, thank you all so much for listening. There are almost 3 million podcasts, and we're honored you've chosen ours. Please check out our website, unofficialofficialstory.com, for show notes or to hear past episodes. And please follow us on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
This season, we'd love to hear from you. Go on our website. You can send us a message by clicking on the Contact Us button, or you can leave us a voicemail. Click on the microphone button at the bottom of the page. Tell us what we got right or tell us what we got wrong. Tell us how much you love us or hate us, or if there's a topic you think we should cover, or do you think you'd make the perfect guest? Let us know.
And we have the fire engines in the background.
Oh, let me say that again.
No, it's fine because this is the path.
Yeah.
This like I forget what there's a word for like that. There's like paths for certain emergency vehicles.
Right. Isn't
Are
this
you talking about roads?
Yeah, there's like no. Well, but there's like certain
vehicles drive on.
there's certain roads
for the emergency.
Yeah, that are meant for like emergency, like that. It's usually straight, bigger. You know.
I don't want to give away where you live. I don't think this does. But is this like technically Route 66?
Yeah. So it's like so whenever there's like there's anything, police, ambulance, fire, east, west, they go on this road. That's why it's constantly happening. All right. If you like the podcast, please be sure to share it with your friends, family, and even your enemies. You'll be doing a lot to help us keep bringing exciting and fun content every month.
And please join us next month where we'll be asking the question, was Ted Bundy encouraged by the devil?
No, he was inspired by World War II.
Right, that's true. That's a good one.
Probably true, actually.
It wasn't God.
I teach screenwriting, and in my screenwriting classes, I always have advice at the end of class. The 3 things I teach is either how to stay safe from crime, how to get away with crime, or how to stay safe from the world. And one of my pieces of advice is from Ted Bundy. And the advice I gave tonight, which is related, is that whenever somebody asks you for help to put something in the car, you should always say no. Because that's how Ted Bundy got people.
That's true.
He broke his leg. He pretended to break his leg. He'd ask, Adam, help me put this in the car. And then you get in the car, and then I'd hit you on the top of the head and put you in there, and then bad things would happen.
Right. Yeah, don't help him or throw it in the car from far away.
So don't do that. That's what happens.Maybe the devil told him to do it. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye with music.
Laters.
Music.